Hi all, this is Lisa from Trails Edge Astrology, and today we're talking about the astrology of June. And before we get started, I gotta say, I feel like June is going to be a lighter month than we have had recently. The transits are seem to me like they're going to be a little easier and a little more harmonious. Of course, there can be things going on in your chart that will not make that so, but in terms of the overall energy in the air, it feels a little bit easier to navigate this month. So as we get started, let's just do a quick week by week. So I got to start. I know it's June 3rd today, but I got to start by talking about this period from the 1st to the 3rd. There was just a lot of really beautiful energy that I think could provide the opportunity for really lovely expansions and entries into next chapters. So I recommend just taking some notes about what happened this week and, what you might want to continue to explore. The first full week of the month, June 5th through the 11th, I think is going to be a lot about emotional honesty and about deep communication. So a week to really kind of put your heart out there and maybe heal some things that it's time to heal. The second full week, June 12th through the 18th, I think is going to be really cerebral, about mental processing, about digging deep, about having some tough conversations in a good, supportive way. The third week, June 19th through the 25th, I wrote down ritual of release. This is the solstice, and the solstice is a time when in the Northern Hemisphere, we have the longest day of the year. It's the height of summer. And so as with a full moon, this is a time to release what we've been growing this year. So what do you want to put out in the world? And then June 25th through July 2nd, that last week of the month, this is the week I think is going to be the most potentially fraught. It doesn't have to be a lot, but is the one kind of to prepare for, and certainly if you're looking to put something out or looking to shake something up, that would be the week to do it. All right, now let's go in detail week by week. So May 29th through June 4th, I know we've gotten through most of this at this point. That said, I just got to mention June 1st, the Jupiter conjunction with the North Nodes. The North Nodes are our fated directions, and Jupiter is about expansion and creativity and just finding the dream. This happens every 12 years, so it's fairly rare, but it's just a new starting point. So what happened this week? Did anything come up? Did you meet anyone, new teachers perhaps? Or are you the teacher? Any of those kinds of things might be just worth noting as themes for this next 12 years. June 2nd, we had a beautiful Venus trine with Neptune. Venus is about beauty and harmony and how we are in relationships, and and those kinds of activities. Neptune is about our dreams and about breaking down the silos, and a trine is a beautiful harmonious aspect. So I think that might have opened up some opportunities for really nice emotional healing. And then today is the full moon in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is a very visionary sign. It is opulent. It is joyful. It is ruled by Jupiter. So into this theme at the beginning of the week, or on June 1st, the beginning of the month, with that Jupiter conjunction. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So what's ready to release? Are there breakthroughs? I made a note here that we have a Mercury-Uranus conjunction at this time, and those two together can be breakthrough ideas. So are there things that are ready to release, that are ready to go, that maybe the way you haven't thought about it before? So if you haven't gone out and seen the new moon, said thank you, and done whatever rituals you feel called to do around this new moon, I highly recommend it tonight. It's a beautiful one. All right, first full week of the month, June 5th through the 11th, we start with Venus entering Leo on June 5th. Leo is the sign of individuation. It's the sign of our creativity. It's the sign of the heart-centered leader. And Venus, again, is the way we relate to people, the way we find balance, the way we find harmony in the world, what we see as beautiful. So this blending can be really lovely for standing in your power, for having emotionally vulnerable conversations, being emotionally honest, and standing up for what you need to be successful. Also interesting, because Venus is going to spend 4 months in Leo, and in fact have an entire retrograde in Leo. So Venus usually doesn't spend nearly that much time, usually spends a month or so in a sign. So to have Venus in Leo for 4 months, this is really an opportunity to go deep and go inside and think about what our values really are, what is really meaningful to us, how we really want to shine in the world. Look at your Leo house in your chart, and you'll get an idea of what kind of themes might come up for you during this time. Then on the 11th, we have both Pluto re-entering Capricorn, trining Mercury, and then Mercury entering Gemini. So the 11th is kind of a packed day with some different sorts of energy. Pluto entered Aquarius in March and is now retrograde and going back into Capricorn to finish up the work that it had started between 2008 and March of this year. So, so it'll be interesting to see what kinds of unfinished business come up for you with Mercury there, and Mercury also entering Gemini. I'm curious about if there are potential places for really deep, powerful conversations. Really, really going deep maybe into ideas and what that looks like. And also on June 11th, we have Venus squares Jupiter. So while that Pluto work and going into the shadows and thinking about those ideas or having those conversations might be difficult, we have this really nice supportive energy between Venus and Jupiter, who are our two benefics, and can really, I think, shine some beautiful supportive light into that work we're doing. All right, the next week, the 12th through the 18th. This week on the 15th, Mercury squares Saturn. And this could feel a little, this could crimp Venus, or crimp Mercury's style. Mercury in Gemini likes to talk, likes ideas, doesn't want boundaries, wants to have fun. And Saturn is about like doing the work we have to do. Saturn right now is in Pisces, and so it's kind of having a hard time of it, because in Pisces, the desire is to break down boundaries, and Saturn wants to create those boundaries. So, so it'll be interesting to see how this square plays out in your life. Are there places where you feel like maybe you're blocked, or maybe this frees up some blocks? Maybe that Saturn in Pisces creates some structures to allow Mercury to speak in a way that it hasn't been able to. Squares typically are a little bit more fraught and a little bit more challenging, but ultimately are the kind of energy we need to move on to the next step. So curious about how June 15th sets up in your life, and if there are some ways that you can work with that energy to move yourself forward. On the 17th, we have a new moon in Gemini. And again, Gemini being that beautiful, innovative, curious, creative, communicative energy. This new moon is squaring Neptune in Pisces. And so, so it'll be interesting to see if we have some push and pull between what is rational and our thoughts and our like the more concrete kinds of ideas, and the dream state and like the thinking around the curves. So so we could feel a little tension there between the rational and the emotional. I guess I would invite you to engage in that energy and bring that energy in, and let yourself be curious and flow between those two states through that new moon and through the end of the month. And then on the 17th, Saturn stations retrograde. When outer planets station, outer planets being Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, when they station, it's different than if we have interplanet stations. So it feels different than the stations of Mercury, Venus, or Mars, who are our personal planets. But we do tend to feel the energy around that station. So this week, that Saturn energy may be strong, and we might feel some slowing or some pressure to do things in the right way, and you can take that as you wish, but you might feel some of that. Then the 19th through the 25th, this is the solstice. So we have a gorgeous Jupiter sextile Saturn. This is about building your dreams, figuring out what you want to do and making it happen. Then we have the solstice on the 21st, longest day of the year. What do you want to release into the world? This is a time to celebrate. That this is the height of summer for us in the Northern Hemisphere, the height of winter in the Southern Hemisphere. And yeah, what do you want to put out in the world? This is the time. And we end the week with a Mercury-Neptune square, which is going to pull us back to that new moon with the what's rational, what's emotional, what are the facts, and what is the story, what is the narrative. So I think can add into that, add into the rest of this week with that Jupiter sextiling Saturn, and the summer solstice, like where we don't have to pick one or the other, but we need to find some middle ground between the facts and our beliefs and our narrative. All right, and then the end of the month, June 26th through the 30th. This is the week that I think could potentially be a little more contentious than other weeks. Mars-Uranus squares, as we will have on the 26th, have historically been explosive or been heated. There's been lots of conversations or lots of, because Uranus is in Taurus, earthquakes or movements of financial systems or finding cracks in things we previously thought were stable. So this is one to watch and one to maybe work with constructively. Look at your Leo house and your Taurus house to kind of think about where that might show up for you. Then we have Mercury entering Cancer on the same day as the Mars-Uranus square. And Mercury entering Cancer takes us out of our head, out of our Gemini mental processes, and puts us into our heart, puts us into that lunar space where we really feel. So this is all about emotional intelligence. So again, that theme of having that ability to really have deep breakthrough conversations, that might be something that Mercury entering Cancer lets you really be able to verbalize what you're feeling. And then finally, at the end of the month, the Uranus stations retrograde. Again, Uranus is an outer planet. We don't feel it the same way as we feel the inner planets. But this week, we have the potential to see some cracks in the system, some places where the structures or the things that we think are stable are not. So we'll see. It shows up different ways for different people in different circumstances, but this is the week that I think we want to work with this energy really constructively. And to end, again, I'm Lisa Merrifield. This is Trails Edge Astrology. If you want to know how this will show up in your life, I am more than happy to help you. All right. Thanks so much.